So hey guys, got the old truck out in the hayfield this afternoon over at the neighbor's house. Gonna kind of go out and get a little bit of wood cleaned up, and kind of figured I'd kind of chat with you guys a little bit on the way out here, and just kind of explain kind of a few things, a little bit about kind of the wood that we're cutting, why we're cutting this firewood, and maybe just a few other kind of little stories as well. So a lot of this is what we're kind of trying to stay off of here. This is some real nice alfalfa fields. We just don't want to end up wrecking that, so we kind of have like a worn-in trail here that we've been kind of traveling on quite a bit. And then we're going to kind of get out back out there. So a little bit kind of about the plan here. The neighbor is in his 70s, I think, or somewhere right around there. This was his dad's farm at one point, and when his dad acquired it, he had to open and cut most of all these fields open by hand. Well, his dad and his dad's brother. So out of respect, he tries to keep these fields kind of somewhat open and try to prevent them from kind of growing in. Because if you look at like a red oak or something, a red oak generally will kind of grow, the branches will almost kind of grow straight out, versus a white oak that will have a little bit more of a pitch to them a lot of times. And what ends up happening is the branches start growing out and starts pushing that tractor further and further into the field. And then, you know, seeds kind of drop down, and the trees and saplings and stuff all kind of start popping up. So he tries to kind of go out here, you know, in the fall time and kind of limb up a bunch of those things so the tractors can still get close to the tree line, and then he can also still run a brush hog in there and kind of prevent these things from growing in. So a lot of the wood we're out here cutting today is that stuff. So it's not like huge, you know, monster chunks that half of the stuff would probably only have to split, but it's all heat in the end. And actually a lot of times branches do produce a little bit more heat than the actual trunk of the tree. So don't have to do any splitting. It's going to be pretty easy hauling. That's one thing I kind of had learned from him is out here the woods are very dense. We have a lot of prickly ash. So it's almost like a little thorny brush type thing. So when you go out and start cutting, and then you're hauling wood in and out, you end up, I don't know if you can still see on my arms or not, but I mean, they're pretty scratched up. And I think it's already been a week now since the last time I was out in the woods cutting. And it kind of ends up looking like you got in a fight with a cat or something. So, so what he a lot of times does is he cuts his wood, or drops his trees, or drops branches, and he hooks up his tractor, and he drags us all out kind of onto one of the edges of the fields out here. And then you got nice open easy access to kind of cut and quickly and easily load up your truck or your wagon or whatever you're using, and really kind of makes life a whole lot easier. So anytime I get a chance to kind of go out and do some cutting like this, I thoroughly enjoy it. So, and one other kind of interesting story here, since we're kind of talking about the fields and stuff, my neighbor's in his 70s, and he was kind of telling me about a little bit about his childhood and his dad, obviously being a farmer, and they used to actually have cucumbers, or pickling cucumbers, all in these fields. And so one of his jobs, obviously, as a kid, had to go out and pick cucumbers. And so he's kind of got a little bit of a resentment for them. He said they actually start staining his hands brown because he picked so many of them, and they're kind of thorny and stuff, you know. And some salesman kind of showed up at their door and said, "Oh, we got this new implement for tractors for harvesting pickles or cucumbers. Why don't you guys come up and check this out?" So they go up to the county fair and they check this thing out. And if you guys ever seen the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where the dad and the mom are kind of hanging in this contraption in their backyard, you know, the wife's on one side and the dad's on the other side, and they're kind of balancing and kind of hanging kind of sideways. That's basically what it was. It was a little contraption that hung off the backside of this tractor, so you didn't have to walk around and bend down on your knees and all this. So basically someone had to drive the tractor, and they had all these kind of people hooked up to these harnesses. And I thought it was kind of an interesting thing. You know, and sometimes I go out and like this time of year, I'm kind of grumbling, like, God, there's more pickles to deal with. And we don't even hardly have that much, you know, 2 rows of, you know, I don't know, is it 75 feet across or 100 feet across or something? And it's like, that is so minor compared to like just acres and acres of all these pickles and stuff. So it kind of makes me reflect a little bit and think about how easy of a life I have it at times compared to having to do some of that. So anyways, I probably should get out here and start cutting. I think the neighbor's on his way out, and I guess we'll chat with you guys on the next video.